Hi everybody, it's Cynthia Kane, and in this video tutorial, we're going to be going over the engagement activities and the learning assessments that you may choose to do for Week 5, Copyright and Ethical Use of Information. So we're in our Canvas course right now. The first part I want to show you is that you are now ready for something called Checkpoint 2, Quiz Number 2. And if you choose to do this quiz, you can earn a maximum of 14 points that will go through to your credits for your engagement activities. This is very similar to Quiz 1. It has 14 questions. You will see one question at a time. You can use your textbook, the Information Literacy User's Guide, plus any other materials that we have used up until this point, our video tutorials, your previous learning assessments, anything else. So this is completely open book. You can retake the quiz up to 3 times and your highest score will count. The quizzes are cumulative, so you may see some material that will look familiar from Quiz 1. But again, if you choose to do this quiz, it's a good way of checking what you've learned so far up until this point, and it will also contribute toward the credits for your engagement activities. Finally, we do have 2 engagement activities and 2 learning assessments that you may choose to complete for this week's module. Let's go to our first engagement activity, the copyright discussion. Now you will remember from our tutorial about copyright and ethical use of information that we mentioned an example from Beverly Hills 90210 as a change in the original music with replacement or generic music because of copyright restrictions, or artists may not be giving the rights to use their music in commercial releases or in streaming videos of movies or TV shows. This is what we want you to do. Think about these questions and respond in your own opinion. Please make this at least 5 to 6 sentences. 1 or 2 sentences will not be sufficient for these credits. But think about this question. Should the original music for a film or a television show be the primary focus of a commercial release on DVD or streaming video? Or is it more important to release the film or the TV series without the original music to get it to the audience as soon as possible? There are no right or wrong answers to this question. You may feel very strongly one way or the other, but think about what you really believe is most important when it comes to the use of this type of music in films or TV shows, and what actually is going to work best. Think about this question. So that's one engagement activity that you may choose to answer. Another engagement activity will involve watching another TED Talk. We have a link here for a TED Talk called Your Social Media Likes Expose More Than You Think. The transcript is also available if you would prefer to read that. If you choose to do this engagement activity, watch the video or read the transcript or both, and then write a reflection that includes your reactions, thoughts, ideas, and/or questions about the talk, how the talk relates to information literacy, and how the topic of the TED Talk relates to your personal experience and/or to society as a whole. So again, this is another engagement activity that you may choose to complete. Then we have 2 learning assessments. You may choose to complete one or both, depending upon the grade that you are aiming for this class. One learning assessment deals with media literacy. So in this particular one, we would want you to choose a media item that's worthy of critical attention. It could be a print ad, a TV ad, a meme, or a minute or 2 of a TV show. And the criteria for selection are based on observations that would evoke questions about communication, power, social norms, conventions, stereotypes, or categories of identity such as race, class, or gender. Then think about how the communication takes place. Distinguish between what is literally seen or heard in the item and the connotations of those elements. And we've given you an example. So for example, a car is literally a means of transportation. An advertisement for a Lexus is an advertisement for a car that would also imply that the person using that car is wealthy, has high social status. It's almost better for you to drive something like that than to actually think about a car as simply a means of transportation. So your analysis can take the form of a 1 to 2 page paper, double-spaced. You could create a poster, you could create a web page, you could also do a video and submit that as well. Do a citation for the item for the media that you are analyzing. But if you include other sources or quotes, include that in a reference list for APA style. And if you choose to make a video, submit your references separately in a Word document. So we would encourage you to have some fun with this one because this does relate a lot to what we've been talking about in terms of visual literacy and media literacy. What's actually being communicated through that media item. And is it communicated directly or resemblance, or is it cultural convention? Finally, another learning assessment that you may choose to complete for this week is one related to ethical use of information. I mentioned this in our video tutorial. So in this one, we would want you to write and submit a 3-page double-spaced minimum response to this following scenario. So think about studying in the William Allen White Library Learning Commons at 3 o'clock in the morning. And you see another student who you recognize as a classmate from another course that you both currently are taking, but you really don't know that student very well. You see that that student goes to the scanner in the Learning Commons, and it looks like that student is scanning pages from a book. You recognize it as the required textbook for the course that you both are taking. You purchased your own copy of the textbook, and it was $200. It might appear that that student is copying and scanning the entire textbook and saving it on a flash drive, but you're still just not quite sure what's going on. The student then leaves the Learning Commons. What are your thoughts about this issue, and what would you do? What we want you to do then is think about these types of questions. Could that print textbook also be available on reserve, and how would you find out? We've also given you links to the U.S. Copyright Office, more information on fair use. Now, this actually goes back to the 4 elements, the 4 factors of fair use that I mentioned in our previous tutorial: the purpose and the character, the nature, the amount and substantiality of the portion used, and the effect of the use on the potential market for value of the copyrighted work. Think about that. And you may not know this, but Emporia State University actually has a usage policy for information technology. And we've given you a PDF link to that as well. And here it is. So you might want to read through this policy and see what you actually can and can't do with university-owned property, such as a printer or a scanner. Again, if you choose to submit and complete this learning assessment, it needs to be 3 pages minimum, double-spaced. If it's less than 3 pages, it actually will not be complete according to our criteria. And we do have our rubric, our criteria here that we'll be looking for either a complete or an incomplete learning assessment. So again, depending upon the grade that you're choosing to go for in our class, you may decide to do part or all of these engagement activities and learning assessments. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact me or contact Megan, and we will be happy to help you. Good luck.